Hey guys, welcome
Hey,
to another Oceans Roundtable. Although everyone listening or watching, you can follow us in YouTube or in Spotify as Oceans Roundtable. Today we have two experts in QA, Jose Cabrera and Pri. They both experts in their area, know a lot about what they do, but I'll let them do a little bit of intros. How about you start, Pri?
Sure. My name is Priscila Salas. I'm from Costa Rica. I've been working as a QA the past 10 years. I'm currently working as a senior QA automation engineer at Oceans and designing frameworks from scratch and also best practice for automation and all the stuff. And also I have a little bit of experience as a QA lead, leading teams, coach engineers, guide some organization to work more mature testing practice. But yeah, that is a summary of my experience.
Perfect, thank you. Jose, how about you?
okay, well, my name is Jose Cabrera. I'm from Bolivia. I think that I'm in QA from the past decade and a little bit more, like 11 or 12 years will be. And well, in all this time, I was working in different uh, things like API testing, automation frameworks, ETL pipelines. I was doing performance testing. I was doing mobile testing from the automation perspective, all of this. And also, I was designing frameworks, contributing as QA ops on some teams. And well, currently, I'm like QA automation lead for different things.
Perfect. Thank you. And guys, I'm Andy Monge. I'll be your host today. I'm a senior success manager here at Oceans. So happy to have you both. So the how is this gonna work? I'm gonna be asking some questions, touching some different topics, and the idea is to have a very normal, casual conversation about what you already know. So how about we get started? I mean, I know the QA is a little bit in a moment of reinvention. Things are changing a little bit. So we hear a lot like QA is changing faster than ever. So what's truly driving this transformation? And is it true?
Well, it is
Wow.
true. AI is becoming more embedded in the development cycle. Also, the pressure to deliver faster and with higher stability, the need of for QA teams to shift left and be involved from day zero. But yeah, it's true. The QA is in a moment of reinvention.
Yeah, and also I consider that it's evolving, but not just QA. The entire software development is evolving right now. And that's because of AI. And also because the architectures are more complex now than the previously. So that changed a lot the figure in QA. And also that now QA is integrated in the continuous testing process. We have previously we was just a final stage QA and that's it. Now QA is involved in all the aspects because we are shift left. So yep, it's changing a
Interesting.
lot.
Very interesting. And now that you mentioned AI and AI agents, how are they impacting the day-to-day work of QA professionals?
Well, AI is reducing repetitive work and accelerating tasks like test cases, drafting, log analysis, and data generation. But it also raising the bar for QAs now to the needs for be stronger, analytic, deeper understanding of the architecture and the ability to validate AI outcomes. So yeah, I feel that is though all the stuff are impacting the day to day work for QA.
Yeah. So AI is changing many things in QA, but I think that, for example, help you to define better test strategy, help you to refine better a test plan. You will have more cases because you can consider edge cases thanks to test case generation and log analysis, data creation. But even with that, I think that it's not replacing totally because we have the final judgment on on
Mhm.
those things. If we don't
Make-
judge what the AI is doing, well, AI will be like a kid with all the plays to do, and yeah, will become crazy.
Got it. Makes sense. And something that I find very interesting. I mean, I've been in the software industry for a long time now. I'm not a developer though, but something that I find very interesting is thinking about the future of QA. Like what skills are becoming essential? What is getting lost now, or are we stop using already? And how do you connect these practices, like for example, with closer collaboration with QA ops or DevOps? And I mean, is there a connection there?
Well, I think that what new skills are becoming essential will be, for example, automation and coding fundamentals, a strong API testing, understanding of CI/CD and pipelines, also risk-based test design, and also the ability to collaborate closely with DevOps and learning skills for guiding teams through quality transformation. That is the skills that I think are becoming essential for AI. And yeah, basically that leadership and all the stuff that it becomes essential.
And Jose, if I mean these are the skills, if you agree with the skills or you want to add something else, but also technologies, are any of the technologies changing or moving faster?
Yeah, I consider that, for example, we have now Playwright, and Playwright appears in the scene and now is shining a lot because Playwright provides you more integrations with different things. You can integrate with performance tools like Artillery.io, or you can integrate and hey, have now your expert agent designing your test cases with Playwright because now that provides that ability too. So you can do more things now. The technologies are evolving. You just have previously only Selenium for UI testing and was like, you need to design the entire thing. Now the frameworks are evolving too fast and we have more support for the QA side.
Very interesting. And are companies understanding this transition, or is there a gap between like the request and the actual need? Like understanding what is the reality? Is there a gap?
But right now, I think that most of the companies say, hey, I want you to use AI, but
Mhm.
they don't know even how to use AI. So in that aspect, and most of my teams, we were considering, hey, we need to use AI to test generation, for example. But the client has some NDAs, so we cannot use directly ChatGPT or something like that because we will have some complaints about that, right? So we need to be careful which tools we will use and which tools has access the client right now. And based on that, we can decide how AI can help in our daily workflow.
Perfect. It makes sense. And Pri, going back to the topic that we're speaking of right now, like right, QA is in a moment of reinvention. What part of the QA role do you believe becomes stronger and not weaker because of AI, or if AI is the reason it's being reinvented at all?
Well, the part that I think is more important as a QA is the one that we need to learn the new things. Like for example, if the AI is changing, we need to change with AI. If the automation is changing, we need to change with the automation implementing the AI. So we the thing important here is that we need to keep learning things, we need to keep updated and all the stuff to be aware of the changes as well.
Very interesting. And I want to close with a question for both of you. I mean, each can answer first. So the question would be like, what really means to reinvent yourself as a QA? I mean, what have you done to make sure you adapt to the current trends?
Well, I consider that to adapt and not just to evolve as a QA, I would say I needed to learn many things related with QA ops first because I think that QA ops is evolving a lot and now is becoming essential in some things. And also, I need to learn more about, for example, uh, to include the AI in my daily work. I left to use VS Code directly, and I started using Cursor, and now anti-gravity that is provided by Google. So those tools help you a lot in your to build some boilerplates, and you can focus in that way in your architecture and how you will create a framework that will be scalable for the product.
Pri, you? What
Uh,
does it
well,
mean to reinvent?
well, from my side, I had to learn from scratch about AI, about LLMs, large language models, to include those into my test scripts, to increase the productivity, to increase the coverage. So yeah, as a QA, as you may know, the manual QA will disappear. So the future requires hybrid profiles like QA engineers who understand automation, who understand continuous integration, pipelines, API systems, and AI, as Jose mentioned. Now we are using, for example, Copilot in the Visual Studio to increase the productivity to help us a little bit. But if you use AI and you don't know anything about programming, it will be difficult. You need to know at least some of the baseline, because you need to know what type of parameters you need, what type of elements you need. So yeah, it's more to increase the productivity. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for those answers. Fantastic. I want to close this topic with just one idea. If you were a junior dev and someone that is thinking about QA, what would be like an advice that you would give in terms of technologies or skill sets? And what AI is currently the one that you are using the most?
So I would say that first, leaving the part that where the he well, leaving the part of AI. If he's a junior dev, I will say first consider that all the things will fail. That's thing like a QA. And then after that, I will reinforce it with, hey, you can learn a little bit about Playwright because I think that's the most used right now. And also you can learn more about how to test the API because right now, if you try to test directly the UI, that will be time consuming. But if you start with lower layers, you will create a more robust framework and you will be able to test and increase your coverage. So yeah, I would say that, but Junior.
Perfect. Pretty, anything else to add?
I will give you three suggestions. The first one will be this early. Chief left everything, automate smart, not everything, and also make quality observable. Like for example, logs, metrics, monitoring. So yeah, that will be my three suggestions as a developer junior.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you guys. I wanna change topics a little bit. I mean, still in the same area. Like, what's the hype? What's the reality? I mean, the idea is to cut through the noise, right? So, what would you say is the most overrated topic in QA right now?
Um, well, I started, I think, like some years ago, but still with that codeless automation tools. So the market say, hey, you can test everything with this tool and we'll test everything for you. But yeah, but usually those tools are paid tools first, and those tools doesn't provide any support when you are creating something robust and something that will be scalable. And you need to maintain like thousands and thousands of test cases. In that case, that tool will not be adaptable to your needs. So yeah, that's still overrated in I think.
Very interesting. And I think this one goes to Pri. Which concepts you hear people or colleagues mentioning constantly, but very few people can explain properly? It's a tough
Mm,
question. I don't know because I hear a lot of people talking about different things, especially around AI or people talking about different QA tools, and it goes along this. Right? What is real and what is hype, right? What actually works.
a concept that it would be, I heard in some companies they confuse the term of smoke testing with sanity testing. So I think it's overrated because
Okay.
some some people think that smoke testing is test the core of the application, and some people think that we need to do smoke testing after the build, then before the build. So is a term that it is confusing, depends on the project. Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense. And another question that I find very very interesting that people usually ask me, and I really don't know the answer, is what truly differentiates an AI powered QA from simply using a plugin that generates tests? Because I know that QA automation professionals use a lot of plugins, right? And they do a lot of coding to make sure that plugin works. But do the AI tools have the capacity to do that nowadays, or is still very very fresh?
So AI right now is capable to do many things, but something that will never replace, I would say, because I was previously working as a UX too. So the human is subjective. So you will not be objective with some UI, for example.
Mhm.
So can be something that is, hey, this UI looks very good to me, but to your PO will not be functional, the flows will not be adapted. QA will, well, AI will not replace that part. We'll try, but for now at least, the subjective part that a human has will not be replaced and cannot be replaced by AI.
Perfect. It makes total sense. And when testing like microservices, distributed teams, or cloud-based architectures, what real challenges appear nowadays, and what separates a mature testing approach from an improvised one? By improvised, I mean like using AI just to try to get out of the way.
Well, I would say that right now, something interesting is that we don't have like, yeah, a monolithic architecture. We have a lot of modules and a lot of microservices. And those are not integrated with just the API, for example. Those are calling third-party services that also throw another services that have infrastructure behind, and those populate, for example, data in an ETL or data lake server. So based on that, you need to now think smart about how you will automate the integration of those components and isolate how you can test each of those and then the total solution. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and I will add as well, ignoring automation fundamentals, not learning APIs early, learning tools instead of understanding the architecture of the application, and also will be believing that UA testing alone is enough. Also, not investing in critical thinking and test design as well.
Perfect. Great guys, great answers. Thank you for that info. Um, let me see. With which technologies or practices do you believe will outlive the hype and become a long-term standards? Like for example, you mentioned Playwright earlier that it's taking a lot over Cypress and Selenium. Um, will they outlast AI because of what you just mentioned that you always need the human edge?
Well, I think Playwright is going to be last at the future. Is being adopted over Cypress mainly because it was designed from day one for true cross browser, cross platform, and multi tab testing with excellent support for example Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and mobile using a single API. And also it has a good integration with AI. So I think this is now the future basically.
Like, do you agree, Jose?
Yeah, I think that yeah, Playwright is helping a lot. But even with that, I think that the other tools for performance are also evolving. So Playwright will be covering the functional testing part, I would say. But for non-functional, we have tools like K6, we have tools like artillery, and also we have the other side that Priscilla was mentioning before. Now we don't have only logs that you will review. Now AI also is evolving in the logs. So the logs show you the most relevant logs that you have and how those are trained in your past 30 days or things like that. So based on that, you can create analytics and say, hey, we have more failures on this module, and that's why we will need to report the testing on this area. Yeah, it's evolving a lot, but not just Playwright, also the other tools that exist for non-functional testing.
Perfect. So that's basically the truth behind AI. Thank you, guys. There's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of hype right now, and I think you're helping us understand what really works and guiding the way. So if there's any junior developers listening to this, take note, right? We're learning a lot. Changing topics a little bit, the technical deep dive explanations that matter. That's what I want to what I want to try to find, right? Um, when we say that a system needs to be scalable, what does that mean from a QA perspective?
Uh,
Well, I think that a QA process that can grow without multiplying costs or effort. This includes automation that is maintainable at the future, that is fast and integrated into continuous integration, stable environments, and testing some strategies aligned with the architecture that would be more scalable for QA perspective.
yeah, so when we are talking about the scalability, we are talking that, hey, we want to support, and that's something interesting to think all the time. When the client wants to have a system that can be scalable, you need to create a framework that will support that scalability.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to think that, hey, I need to support this. For example, we have a system that using AI will support or will schedule different appointments. So in that case, your system that will be testing your framework needs to know how to test that part and needs to create the scalability to, okay, what happens if I have 1,000 more and more and more and more data, and how will behave? So your testing needs to be scalable, not only the system that you are testing.
Okay, that makes sense. And which development decisions have the strongest impact when you talk about testing strategy?
I would say, first of all, the architecture choice. It is monolith or versus microservice, and API consistency, the stability built into the system, and some feature flag strategy. This will define how much effort and tooling QA will need, basically.
Yeah, and also defining, well, based on the stage that is the product right now. So if you are doing like a migration or something like that, well, we have a huge impact on QA and how we need to rethink the things that we have already for testing or for our testing purposes and our testing strategies in the different modules.
Okay. And I think you already answered this a little bit during our conversation, but how does the testing change when working with microservices, for example, or event-driven systems, or the modern architectures? You already answered a little bit of this, but I want to like a specific. What is? How do you change your approach?
Well, it becomes more technical, more API testing, contract testing, schema validation, event tracing, and logs analysis, and also end-to-end testing. UA testing becomes a small portion of the strategic with that kind of architecture.
Yeah. And also, I think that talking about the architecture of different applications, when we are trying to test things like this, or when we are thinking on this, we need to know that now at least the QA people need to know more about architecture and more about the infrastructure components, because sometimes it's only possible to test the specific part of the infrastructure. So you need to go directly and test that specific service bus, for example, or that specific queue to just verify that it's working as expected. Yeah, you need to know more now about those kind of things. That previously was not a requirement. Okay.
Perfect. That makes total sense, guys. when it comes to the right tools for automation, what criteria do you use to choose depending on performance, security, monitoring? What's the what's the criteria you guys are choosing?
I will say the technical maturity, easy of maintenance, CI/CD compatibility, and also some team expertise and community and ecosystem support. There are some testing tools that has a lot of documentation, so
Mhm.
that will be very helpful.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
When you're trying to define which tools you will use, well, depends on that. For example, what are what are the things that is using the client right now? If it's something that can match with the client, for just an example, one of the clients was saying, "Hey, I want to test this ETL process that I don't have right now." Well, I like a lot Java, and we are doing the entire product in Java, but doesn't have common sense to test using Java. Why? Because if we are trying to test multiple and a lot of data, Python will be the obvious choice in that case. So we need to think smart with the client and try to point, hey, this tool will be the one that will help you more in this aspect.
Perfect. And something that I know a lot of people are interested in knowing, or at least hearing from your expertise, is what does effective collaboration look like between dev, QA, DevOps, QA ops environment, like everything? Because in my experience, for example, I've always, not always, but in a lot of teams that I've worked with, sometimes there's like a, I wouldn't say a clash, but it's not like as collaborative as it should be sometimes. And the devs are like, no, that's QA's job. Or the QAs are like, hey, the dev needs to set up the environment so I can do my testing. So it's like a back and forth, right?
Yeah, but I think that that will depend. Well, something that we started to do in some things is that we are not planning like the next sprint. Well, leads and the rest of the people that is in charge will be planning the other user stories and the requirement like from 3 months previous. Why? We will inform the team, we will learn with the team, we will recover some doubts from the team and say, hey, this is right, this is not, we have some gaps in this part, it's missing. And based on that, we can improve the refinement and the flow will be better because we will say, hey, we need to deliver this specific part of the feature. So QA will handle this at this time. So we will don't have overlaps between the specific areas. And based on that, we can improve the agile process. And we need to understand that doesn't exist QA team, ops team, dev team. We are a team, and that's it. But yeah, it's hard to understand in all of the projects. That's the hard part. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
that answer.
I agree. Dev, QA, and DevOps should share responsibility for quality because we are a team. It's the responsibility of all of the team. Yeah.
I love that answer. I love that answer. And I hope that everyone listening to this truly lives it and feels it, because it's amazing. And I think if everyone can implement it as you mentioned, it will come long ways in project developments. So I think this is fantastic. I want to finish this project, sorry, this topic with like what technical concepts every client should understand before starting a project. What if you come from zero and you say, hey, I would love for a customer to just come and say, hey, I understand that you need this. What would that be?
Wow. Something that I think most of the clients and Priscilla was talking also this too is we need to test early. So if the client doesn't understand that testing, that quality is not the last stage, is the entire process. We need to have quality in all the things. If the client doesn't understand that part, we will not be aligned and we will cannot grow as a project.
Yeah, and also I will add that some clients, it doesn't matter about the unit testing. They only believe on, we need to do some automation and that's it. There is a pyramid that we need to follow First of
Yeah.
all, unit testing, then integration, then end-to-end testing. That would be the most important part.
Perfect, guys. I wanna go to final thoughts. Right, we're running out of time, but thank you for everything. Um, to close, I want to ask some tough questions. Okay, so not tough because it's gonna be difficult for you to answer. To know the answer is difficult because it's uncomfortable like because of things that are happening in the industry, right? So, what are tough or uncomfortable, as I just said, change that you think the industry will need to accept soon?
I will say that manual QA will disappear. The future requires, as I mentioned, hybrid profiles. But yeah, manual QA will disappear because we're right now QA automation engineers can do manual testing. So yeah, that is the thing that we need to accept.
Perfect. Jose,
Yeah.
do you agree?
Yeah, I would say in the other, well, in the subway to the manual QAs that are listening to us, that they need to evolve to learn more things about automation. Because yeah, the role right now only manual QA will disappear soon. But if you evolve and you learn more about automation and the trends on all the things related to the AI, yeah, you can have a slot in the future. Yeah.
And on that same note, what would you say to a QA who is afraid that AI might replace their jobs or their role?
Uh, QA sometimes, and that's something interesting. When you are doing a development role, usually you will define, hey, I will do this architecture, we will follow this strategy and this process. But when you are doing testing, the QA part is more related with the business, it's more involved with the business. So you cannot replace a PO right now. That's why also you cannot replace a QA because the QA is the one that audits the entire product. So even if AI try to audit some of the parts, will be auditing the parts that are related with the code, but not the parts related totally with the business. We need the logic that some human can provide in that aspect.
Mhm. Yeah,
Perfect.
and also I think that AI, for example, replace repetitive tasks, not analytical thinking. So yeah, continue learning, continue to use the AI as a productivity tool, and will keep you strong and domain the language of automation. It will be more valuable than ever.
Take note,
Yeah,
guys.
and
Great advice.
one extra thing there. Sorry, one extra thing there. I think that we need to learn how to use AI, and we need to avoid dependency on AI. That's the other thing.
Mhm.
You can do your work without AI, but AI helps you to accelerate some parts of that. But you don't need to depend on AI for everything, right?
I agree. I agree 100%. I think if you start using AI for everything, you stop thinking, you stop being
Mhm.
creative. So I agree 100% with that answer. Um, to finish, if you could only apply three principles in any QA process, what would they be?
Um, I will say, well, the thing that I mentioned before, test early with the chief left testing methodology, automated smart, not everything can be automated. So yeah, that would be my two principles. And the other one would be like make quality observable with logging metrics, Datadog, monitoring. So yeah, so that would be very helpful.
Jose, from your end?
I would say focus not only on the tools, focus on learn the concepts and the basics. So clean architecture, I think that's one of the principles that I would suggest always. And the other is no, don't test just the flows without knowing the behavior. Focus on the behavior of the business. That's very important. And yeah, visibility always build visibility with logs, metrics, and any other thing that can help you on that aspect.
Amazing, guys. This has been a very learningful experience, I would say, especially for me. I'm not a developer at heart. I'm an engineer, but a mechanical engineer. So for me, this is very knowledgeable, and I love it. Thank you for your time. And for everyone listening, remember you can listen to us in the other roundtables that we've done at Oceans Roundtables in YouTube or Spotify. And I hope that you guys follow us as well. And Jose, Pri, thank you again for your time. This was amazing. I hope you had as much fun as I had. And thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Okay.
Amazing.